we're back with another season of Taking the Reins. It's a very exciting time to be based down in the Cape, and we're doing things a little bit differently this season, as we will explain to you in this very first episode of Taking the Reins for the new summer. We've got a new recruit to Cape Racing, my man on the left, Alistair Cohen. Alistair, welcome, and it's good to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. Thanks for the welcome. It's 2 weeks into the job and just very exciting times ahead. Just with the vision of Cape Racing and, the freshness, the enthusiasm, the energy that has been brought to the table. So very excited to be on board. Thanks for having me.
Well, obviously, it's going to be a very new look Hollywood Bets Kenilworth as we get back to headquarters from the 26th for the Cape Hunters Cup. But I'm very excited to announce that Alistair will actually be taking over anchor duties for these Taking the Reins shows. We've got a fantastic schedule coming over the summer season to highlight the up-and-coming festival meetings, and we're going to have a vast array of very, very interesting, intriguing guests for Alistair to sit and interview for your entertainment. But Alistair is the main guest for this show, and it's the last show I'll be anchoring, so I'll be shooting the questions at him. And as we have gone through with the guests at the first season, we're just going to run through a few questions for Alistair, just for our public, just to get to know him a little bit better. Obviously, someone who's been around for a very long time, but not everyone knows his background story. And we're going to take a little quick route from Alistair's inception, if you will, to his arrival at Cape Racing. So Alistair, you're someone I've known for a very long time. A lot of people don't know that, but take us through the age, I suppose, where you knew you were going to be a commentator and where the horse racing bug bit, and what took you from just that interest to develop into a professional commentator.
It's a very sort of romantic story, really, growing up over the road from Greyville Racecourse. My dad being a 10 Rand punter, always has been, and still to this day is only a 10 Rand punter. Very bad one at that. But also, him being good mates with Owen Heifer, me being in the same class as his younger son, Tyson Heifer, and being able to go to the races to what's now Hollywood Bets Greyville, with my dad and occasionally, getting up to no good with Tyson and the rest of the Heifer kids. And it all kind of developed from there. I was always the kid that was standing next to the rails or right by the finish line, always looking up at the grandstand. In those days, Peg Peters was calling with Eric Denman, saying, I want to be that voice in the sky. So it was a very, very young age that it bit. My first real vivid memory was the 100th running of the Hollywood Bets Durban July, as it was known, the Rothmans July, which was won by London News under Pierre Stratham from a bad draw. And then obviously subsequent to that, London News going to Hong Kong and winning the QE2 Cup for Alec Laird and for the Jaffies, and listening to David Raphael's commentary.
London News, the pride of South Africa, goes up and goes to the lead. Privilege on the inside is coming again. London News in front. Privilege won't give in. London News doing the better, and London News, he's everything they said, and he wins. London News by a half.
Not knowing much about the description, the story he was telling, but just the voice, the South African element to it, that's really when I decided, never mind anything else that I wanted to do. I mean, we all had aspirations of being doctors or high-profile jobs. I thought being the voice in the sky at horse racing was where I wanted to go. And at the age of 12, there was a commentators competition at Clarewood. Absolutely awful. Voice hadn't broken, but it was the first time I'd gone from having the TV on mute to actually being in the grandstand with a set of binoculars and a tape recorder and commentating from there. And 7 years later, I got my break in Joburg without having called a live race in Durban. With 7 years of practice, could have become a doctor in that time, but it all developed from there.
It's quite interesting how when we talk about getting the next generation involved in racing, how those big superstar horses can actually play quite a big role, because the London News win in Hong Kong was a catalyst for me as well. Maybe not quite a catalyst, but it's something that's imprinted on my brain where I really remember, wow, this sport is for me. I remember, and obviously that call lives in your memory with London News and
everything they said, and he wins.
Beating Privilege and Ennis Mirabilis, the Godolphin horse, which it was quite something. So, fantastic. I mean, it's obviously, it feels like a longer road than it's probably been. I know, obviously, as someone who's slightly on the younger end of the other racing professionals, people just always say, oh, you're so young. And meanwhile, it feels like we've had 3 decades behind us. Horse racing has that difficult, it's a hard industry to break through and try and keep active at that top level. But you obviously got the call to Dubai, an international call, very early in your life. How old were you exactly?
Yeah, I was 31. I was actually 30 when I was approached. So yeah, 31. I turned 31 within a week of being in Dubai my first season. It was obviously an honor to be called up to follow in the footsteps. First was actually Derek Thompson. Everyone thinks Terry Spargo was the first guy. Derek Thompson was commuting between the UK and Dubai for 2 seasons, and obviously the commuting and the fact that they wanted someone based there obviously set him back from Dubai. So he makes sporadic appearances there, emceeing and hosting a few race meetings. And Terry Spargo obviously stepped up. And during that Mark de Kock domination, when Thursday night festival meetings in Dubai were everything for us, and when Epi Tombi and Victory Moon sort of broke through, Terry Spargo was the voice that was so synonymous with Dubai racing, and it became almost an aspirational aspect for commentators. Craig Evans followed Terry Spargo. He was there for a couple of seasons, and then out of the blue, I got a call, funny enough, from Richard Hoyle saying they're looking for a commentator in Dubai. Do you know of anyone? And I said, yeah, I'd like to go. So yeah, that was, it obviously didn't end on a great note, but I don't regret going there for the season and nearly 2 seasons that I was there. It was an unbelievable experience, and that one Dubai World Cup that I called was a huge honor for me.
Sure, look, it's obviously a massive feather in your cap at that age to get the call to go to such a place like that. Tell us about, obviously, your role here at Cape Racing is not as commentator, major broadcast managerial aspects behind it. Do you feel like, obviously, you've learned a lot on that side of thing, having worked with broadcast in Dubai, plans of unrolling that type of thing here in Cape Racing?
Yeah, so there's, when you look at probably the 2 flagship broadcasts in world racing, I'd say that the Hong Kong broadcast, which is staple and very refined over the entire season, whether it's a big day or just a normal Wednesday at Happy Valley. And then what the RTV team puts together on their big days, which obviously we're exposed to in South Africa and able to watch on various channels. And having worked with a lot of those guys that are on RTV and including the production team behind the scenes, that experience in Dubai really opened my eyes in terms of professionalism, having direction of where everyone stands and what they need to do, the roles that they define, and not stepping out of those boundaries because there's such a vast professional team. And there's small elements that I would like to bring to the table. I think that, having been employed in racing now for 13 and a half years and being stigmatized as only a commentator and presenter, this is the opportunity that I have to take a big step and really make a difference and change the landscape. And I think that I'm now equipped and made enough connections around the world to be able to make that difference. It's going to be a bit of a slow burn to be able to integrate and change the mind of everybody, including myself. Because I think in South Africa there's comfort in how we do things, and it's at a good level. It's a matter of enhancing the standards and adding a little bit of accountability and getting the best out of everyone that's on the team. That's what really excites me, because I know what everyone's capable of around town, and to get the most out of them I think is important. And if we can do that and just change the mind and put together an international quality broadcast, especially on the big race days, then Cape Town becomes even more appealing for people that are watching, whether it's in South Africa or overseas, because we already have that type of attention from overseas viewers. But to take it up a level and make it look as first world, as professional as possible, that's the window that everyone's got to work with.
Absolutely, that's where we've got to be taking the product as a whole, and you'll be a key integral part to getting the broadcast there. On a personal level, obviously, you're now having to make the actual physical move from Johannesburg to Cape Town. You've obviously got your partner Candice, who everyone knows is a successful trainer up in Johannesburg. Over the next few months, you'll be phasing the move in and obviously doing quite a bit of traveling. It's obviously a bit of a difficult time, but how's Candice's mood at the moment with everything?
Candice is loving Cape Town. In terms of Cape Town, it's obviously hard to take everything that you know from Randkiesfontein and being able to implement it in a different centre. Although she's no stranger to Milnerton, having worked with Jeff Woodruff for many years and being the head of the rating party when the likes of Yardarm and various other big names were running around. She worked with Jetmaster at the start of her career as well, and obviously the Johan van Vuur and Candice Dawson dynamic behind Jeff Woodruff in those heydays was integral to all the success. So she's no stranger to Milnerton. Joburg's been really, really good to me. I have a lot of fond memories, made a lot of good friends up there. And for a while I'll be commuting up and down and seeing a lot of friends. But obviously the long-term idea is to make Cape Town home. It has to work for me and for Candice. So however long it takes is how long it takes. But the sooner that we settled, the better. But yeah, just in terms of the 9 horses that Candice has brought down here, she's waiting for that breakthrough, and I'm sure when it does happen that the floodgates will open.
Well, let's talk horses for a little bit. Obviously, you have been calling down here for a good few months. The summer season is setting itself up to be a very intriguing one. It's quite a different Cape Town summer to what I remember for many years. Obviously, last season we really did as much as we could to get raiders to come down and race here, as we felt in Cape Town it was vital to have in order to have a proper season, you have raiders. I remember the year prior to us coming, there were 27 horses that raided the Cape in the entire year. And we had that in the 1 month of November last summer, and over 200 over the summer, all added up together. And I think this season we're going to see a similar number. And it just seems like the Cape Town horses at the moment, subsequent to the retiring of Jet Dark, Commentator and Captain's Ransom all in one go, it's a little bit light at the top end, and a lot of promising young horses coming through. But with the likes of Princess Kala, obviously she had her first run back here the other day. The Johannesburg crop of 3-year-olds looks exceptionally strong. Main Defender will be coming down. It doesn't look like Sandringham Summit's coming down from what I've been reading in the press, but that might change after the Dingans. Where do you put the horses at the moment? It's very finely balanced.
Yeah, it's a difficult puzzle to put together because, I wouldn't say that it's a shift in power, but I do think that the quality of 3-year-olds in Cape Town probably not quite as good as they were in previous seasons. I put Questioning right up there among the best 3-year-olds in the country. However, we have no idea how he fits in with what we've seen with Main Defender, Sandringham Summit, Tail of the Comet here at Hollywood Bets Durbanville, and the Ready to Run Stakes was sensational. I mean, at the 800, I was thinking not a place, and he was still able to stamp his authority on the field. So we got that whole dynamic, and then from the fillies' perspective, it would be easy to earmark Champagne Cocktail, although totally unexposed. What she's done and the difference between her and her full sister who won the Hollywood Bets Durban July was noticeable, and that Sparkling Water at the start of her career was a bit touch. She needed a bit of TLC to get onto the racetrack. She needed lead ponies, earmuffs and all that, whereas Champagne Cocktail's got a totally different temperament. So, if she's able to keep a head on all that, then she could really scale similar type of heights. So it'll be interesting to see how the Joburg horses travel down and if there's anything that emerges from Cape Town. I have a feeling there will be, but I just don't know who it might be. I mean, Green with Envy, when it comes to the Hollywood Bets Cape Guineas, 1600 metres might be a little bit too soon, but I think we'll be talking a big game when we get to the Splash Out Cape Derby, because he looks like 2000 metres will be right up his alley.
Sure, it's going to be very, very interesting, and the World Sports Betting Cape Fillies Guineas noms go in this morning, and Mike has got more than just that filly that you've mentioned.
Silver Sanctuary being another one.
Sanctuary, very promising. White Pearl, a very interesting horse, and obviously he'll see how the draws go and then split them between there and the Fillies.
And there's always been whispers about Egyptian Mile travelling down to Cape Town as well. Right now, having won the Starling Stakes Turfentine, she would be another one with a target on her back because she's got any amount of ability. And also, let's not write off Mr. Geriatrics just yet.
Absolutely, sure. It's a lot of very, very talented horse flesh, and it's going to be a fantastic summer season. We're really looking forward to it, and we've got an action-packed season of taking the reins coming forward in the next couple of months. Alistair will be your anchor. We've got some fantastic guests and a great lineup to show you, and of course, 7 summer festival meetings which are jam-packed of feature races and real high-quality racing. We can't wait to get back to Hollywood Bets Kenilworth. We're there for the Cape Punters Cup on the 26th, and we are going to see a scintillating summer of racing.